Fantasy Six-Pack Hour with your hosts, Joe Bob and AJ Applegarth.
Welcome to the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me as usual, AJ Applegarth. What's up, man?
Yo, what up?
Yo.
Feeling good.
Good talk. How you enjoying the smog?
The smog?
The smog.
I don't know. It's just weird.
It's canceled all my daughter's softball playoff games since Wednesday. So her Wednesday game got canceled, got pushed to Friday. Tomorrow might get canceled. They've had all indoor recesses. This is pretty nuts, man. I have no idea what's gonna happen if tomorrow's gets canceled, because eventually the league that she has, they'll run out of time to have permits for the local fields. And so then they're like, what do we do? I guess we just won't have a champion, which will suck because they're a really good team and they could probably win it. So, oh well. All right, moving on here. Dap, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I don't have any smog,
No?
so I only get to see the cool videos and stuff. I mean, that's not cool at all, and I can't imagine what you guys are going through. So that really sucks.
It's nothing like New York and the Northeast. You can smell it.
Yet.
You can smell it, and it definitely I'm outside for any longer than 5-10 minutes, my eyes start burning. It's they're irritated and burning. He started kind of coughing a little bit. I mean, the air quality index today at one point was 196. I was like, oh my goodness, that is really bad. Anything over 100 is apparently not good. So 196 is really bad. I don't know. Yeah. I hope I don't think it's supposed to get worse than this, AJ. I think it's actually supposed to start getting a little bit better, but yeah, we'll see. Here's the hoping. All right, so today we're going to be doing a little game of who would you rather have. So we'll go through a couple of combinations of players, mostly young versus vets type of guys. Dap and I will be discussing that. Before we jump into all that, though, just want to remind everybody, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, follow, leave comments, whatever. We appreciate it, and it goes a long way in helping us out. And, of course, go over to fantasysixpack.net/plans and become an all-access member today. We've still got all of our great fantasy baseball content, all of our, number one accurate rankings. We've got our Discord access. We've got all of our hitting and pitching planners and waiver wire articles that are paywall bound. But we're starting to roll out our football content. And I haven't totally finished the cheat sheet yet. It's very, very close. But that is coming very soon here to help you all dominate your drafts. We've already got all of our rankings. We've got our redraft rankings, our dynasty rankings, our IDP rankings, our rookie rankings. We're going to get best ball and Devi coming out here very, very soon. And then we're going to be pumping out more content. And of course, Discord is part of that as well. It's where you can get your custom questions answered by all of us at Fantasy Six-Pack. So without further ado, let's jump into a little game of who would you rather. AJ, you want to take the floor here?
Yeah. Daddy, take the wheel. All right.
Oh no.
Oh
Don't
God.
do this to me.
All right. We are looking at some guys that are new to the show versus some guys that are in the show, have been in the show. So let's just start right off with this first one. This week was Elly de la Cruz week. We'll say. I believe it was, Tuesday that he got called up? I don't even remember what day it is right now. I've been through a lot this week. So, yes, Elly de la Cruz or Tim Anderson. Dap, we'll start with you. Who would you rather?
So when we were talking about kind of topics for the show, we came up with a bunch. We always try to come up with easy to digest topics, and the would you rather I thought was kind of a cool little thing, and Joe and I were talking about it, and I mean, is there anybody else that we want to talk to than Elly De La Cruz? He has to lead off the show.
He was clearly the headliner, no matter what we were talking about. So this was perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect. The reason we had to pick Tim Anderson, though, obviously my choice is going to be Elly De La Cruz, and we'll go into all the crazy stats here in a second. I was blown away by how bad Tim Anderson has been so far this year. I mean, I knew he wasn't doing great, but he's awful. So just a couple quick Tim Anderson stats, just so you know, right? So Jay Kuda just went Tim Anderson like tweeting the last couple hours. And here's a couple of great ones. 315 players have 100 plus at-bats in 2023. Tim Anderson's launch angle of 1.5 degrees, not 15, 1.5 degrees, ranks dead last. And also, Tim Anderson and Andrew Benintendi have combined for 477 at-bats without hitting a home run. Just awesome numbers you definitely want to see.
Can I give you a little bit more on Tim Anderson's home run prowess?
Please.
Holy cow. You realize he's hit one home run since last May. Wow. He hit 3 in March and April.
Since last
2
May?
in May.
Like
0 in
days
June.
Ago, May?
1 in July. 0 in August of 2022. Yeah, not good. How did Dave Eddy talk us into drafting him? I cannot figure this out. Now, granted, I know he was hurt last year. That has a lot to do with it.
Sure.
But it is not picked up this year.
And the thing is that he's 29, right? We're not talking about somebody in their, late 30, mid 30s, and he was always a speed and power guy. I mean, it wasn't even that long ago, 2021, when he had 17 home runs and 18 stolen bases. I mean,
and this is probably huge that year too. You're thinking like if you could just get like 140 games, you're thinking 2020 easy, especially with the new rules. Like, no, it ain't happening. The one thing I'll say, so he has picked it up a little bit. I did notice that. Like, I haven't found anybody because shortstops, I kind of missed on the big shortstop names in most of my leagues. They all went super early for good reason. Tim Anderson was always like, well, yeah, I mean, it's not going to be bad. I mean, we're wrong, but
not going to be good either.
He has picked it up at least in the batting average department. So in the month of June so far, he's hitting 313. So there's at least a positive to take away from him. But no, I mean, I'm with you. Elly De La Cruz all the way. This guy's a monster. Number one prospect on the fantasy six-pack dynasty baseball rookie rankings by Michael Schneider, and probably number one on everybody else's board. I absolutely should have been. I mean, Tim Anderson would have to have one hell of a resurgence here to overtake De La Cruz the rest of the way. I just don't see it happening. Another weird thing about Tim Anderson too, he's hitting 381 against lefties, but only 231 against righties. Like what?
I did a deep dive in Tim Anderson after I started seeing some of this stuff, and he's
always been better against lefties, but never that bad against righties.
His stats are just shocking, and so this is crazy to me. Yeah. But you know what? I think Elly De La Cruz also, from a fantasy perspective, right, is must-see TV. Regardless of if you own him or not, if you own a share or not, I have to watch at-bats. So just a couple things with his 5 at-bats into his Major League career. So this is, from yesterday, MLB pipeline.
How many bat flips so far?
the highest bat flip ever, right? So he already has the 2 hardest hit balls of 2023 for the Reds, the 2 fastest sprint speeds, the Reds' longest home run, and he has the MLB's fastest home to third time in 2023, 10.83. And I mean, we're talking about almost 115 miles an hour off the bat. And did you see where that home run was? I mean, the pitch was
like back row almost.
Oh my God. It's just insanity. He's having fun. And I love how MLB kind of put it. He's like, hits like Judge and then, runs like just fastest guy out there. I mean, it's nuts. Hardest. So in StatCast tracking, the hardest hit home run ever, first home run was Jake Berger, 115 miles an hour, and then De La Cruz at 114. I know we need to move on, but geez, I could talk about we could literally have a Dela Cruz this podcast.
So,
All right, scratch what we're doing.
I was going to say, instead of, just hitting like Tarzan, running like Jane, he hits like Tarzan and he runs like Tarzan.
So Ella De La Cruz hour, everybody.
Yes.
We're done.
All right.
How do we top that?
We're rebranding. We're rebranding on the spot. I love it.
We can top that with this little nugget of, I guess, breaking news. Oklahoma has completed the three-peat in softball and beaten FSU. Awesome. I hate FSU. Always will. So I just love.
Can you name the only other women's softball college team to win a three-peat?
I cannot.
UCLA.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. I can see that.
I mean, they've done like everything in college sports at some point or what?
Yeah.
At some point in time. Anyway,
Yeah, Wooden's
moving
a hell of
on
a
here.
coach.
Next.
All right. Next, we've got another youngster, and I believe another red, Andrew Abbott or Jack Flaherty. Old Jackie boy. Joe, you can go first.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Who would you rather?
This one's tough, man. Abbott, I'm gonna be really honest with you. Like, I did not know a ton about Abbott. Had to look a little into him.
Right.
He's been good. K per 9 rate, exceptional in the minors. Came up his one start, was really, really good. Problem is he plays for Cincy, right? And so he's gonna get that home ballpark, which is a definite downgrade. It's almost like Coors minus, right? It's like bad. Flaherty, you look at his overall ERA at 4.15. I mean, that is heavily skewed by a atrocious game he had against the Angels, where he allowed 10 runs in 2 1/3 innings. He mixed in a few bad games, but kind of normal bad games early on. But since then, he hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs twice in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And after that, it's been 1 and 0. The walks are the biggest issue for him. I mean, a 5.19 walks per 9 rate. Right. Left on base, 74%, which it's actually not. It's not as high as I thought it would be, considering all the walks he has. Right. Somehow he's like wild but effective, like effectively wild or whatever that term is, right? Like it's weird. It's just working. I mean, he shut down the Rangers even with 5 walks the other day. I still think reluctantly, and I don't like it, but I think I'm more on Flaherty just because I think I know what I'm getting from him, and Abbott's still kind of an unknown commodity. Right. And maybe that's just me.
Thoughts?
So I own way too many shares of Jack Flaherty. I wish I didn't. I bought into it, and then, of course, he's been injured quite a bit. So, the thing was always, can he stay healthy? And now we see him healthy, and he can't find the strike zone. And like you said, I hate owning pitchers or having shares of pitchers where people are saying effectively wild, because at some point they're no longer going to be effective and they're just going to be a wild, right? And that concerns me to no end. But the thing is going for him, right? He's the St. Louis Cardinals, and we know that they can fix pitching. But, when I keep seeing these lines where it's like, 8 Ks, but almost as many walks, right? The 5 walks from the Rangers series.
Crushing your whip. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. And that's the thing. But, great. It's, ERA of 2.06 since May 9th. That's wonderful. But the Andrew Abbott, okay, so you're right. I don't know if I think they've already done a thing now that the Great American Ballpark is actually worse from a pitching perspective, in the sense of, starting a pitcher for fantasy is worse than Coors is now with the humidor. So, you can't start anybody there. But for, he definitely had, Abbott did not have the start you wanted him to have. He had 6 Ks and 4 walks, but he only gave up 1 hit in 6 innings, against Milwaukee, which used to be a bigger, it's just Milwaukee, but they have some boppers now. but if you look through his minor leagues, he hasn't at any time except one time in 2022, and that was when the Double-A. But in 2023 and in 2021, he never had a walks per 9 over 3. So he was always a really great control pitcher, and we're talking about double-digit strikeout potential as well. With again, we're gonna have another red here in a minute. Also, I don't know. I know what I'm gonna get with Flaherty, like you said, but I also know what I'm gonna get with Flaherty, if you know what I mean. Like it's kind of like I know what I'm gonna get with this crazy ex-girlfriend, and I just rather have a strikeout upside and the hope that my whip isn't gonna be destroyed. Then the Flaherty, where I almost have to like open one eye and be like, is my box score gonna be okay? I've been scared to start Flaherty almost every week so far this season, and I just don't know if that's the right way to go about it with pitching,
I hear you.
It's I would say it's 51-49. Like it's so close here, but if I had to, like, Dynasty, obviously Abbott, but Flaherty also with that injury history, I don't know if he might get a toenail that comes off wrong. I don't know.
And normally I would say,
it's not a
the
blister,
Cardinal.
so.
I would say normally the Cardinals too. You get the advantage of he's going to win more games, but right now that's not the case. So
exactly,
Cardinals are not doing that well right now.
No, they are definitely not. So
no.
All right. So our next group of who would you rather? We're looking at Bobby Miller or Marcus Stroman. Dap.
So
is yours.
So Stroman is what we thought we were going to be in a lot of areas. We didn't think he was going to be a high strikeout guy, and we thought he was going to be a control pitcher as well, which he definitely is. But he's definitely looked better on all the other stat areas than I thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be maybe league average. He's definitely been pretty good. 2.39 ERA with 1 WHIP. I mean, he's been phenomenal. But we're fantasy baseball analysts, right? We're not the MLB.com guys. And from that perspective, there's a lot of things that are kind of lacking here, right? The whip is great. The ERA is going to help you, but if you're getting killed in strikeouts, this is not the pitcher for you. Bobby Miller, I mean, he's already at, let's see, almost a third of the strikeouts in 3 starts of Stroman. And only has 4 walks. That whip is phenomenal. And again, he's with the Dodgers, so that they're going to win a bunch of games. So my thing here is this. The Dodgers are going to win more games, obviously, than the Cubs. The one caveat here, and the reason I'm going to tell you I'm picking Stroman, is because Stroman's going to get traded. I guarantee it. There's no way he doesn't get traded. And because of that, he's going to be going to some type of contender. That one kind of tiebreaker here where, the Dodgers are going to give more wins to Miller. I think I can find places to get the strikeouts considering the ERA, the whip, and now I'm going to get wins when he gets traded. I can definitely, figure out the strikeouts, and he gives me the other 3 categories. I'll take Stroman here.
Yeah, I'm in on Stroman too. Like, I agree with you. I'll make this short. I agree with you. Bobby Miller is probably the better overall pitcher. The other thing to worry about with Bobby Miller is he's going to get dodgered. There's a term that I use a lot, and it's the Dodgers going, oh, he's got a sore thumb this week, so we're going to put him on the IL and leave him there for a month because he's lingering to manage his workload, right? Because if he's pitching that well, they're going to want him for the playoffs, right? And so we see them do this all the time. Right. It works. So they're also going to get some pitchers off the IL. And so it's a matter of time before he's not in the starting rotation for who knows how long. And that's why you go with Stroman. He's a safe commodity at this point, and he's doing, like you said, way better than we all thought he was going to. I avoided him everywhere because he's just sort of like a blah guy, and it's so like he wasn't gonna win me any categories, but he could actually kind of hurt me in some, and I was just kind of like, nope. And he actually would have been a pretty good draft pick where I avoided him, unfortunately. So probably the same as a lot of people. Right. Anyway,
yes, I I like the idea of Stroman as well. There has been rumblings of him possibly coming to Philly, but they still need to start playing better baseball or continue to play. This weekend will be big for that. A good test. So
I wonder if
moving
like
on,
the Rangers goes after him.
Ooh, that's a good point. I mean, the Rangers. I think also then you also have the Rays. I just don't see how the Rays don't go after a starting pitcher. And
Rangers make a lot of
turn
sense,
me
too.
into a starting pitcher, dude. They don't care.
Like, it's so true.
That just put their magic fairy dust on me, man. Yeah. Like I don't know how they do it, but it's
boom, you're a
what
pitcher.
they do.
They're like, oh yeah, we saw this guy throw peanuts across the aisle, and the peanut vendor now is the relief pitcher for the week.
Yeah, we've got our new starter, or opener, whatever it is.
Yeah, opener, exactly.
Fire.
There you go.
Peanuts and now baseballs. All right. Moving on, we've got, speaking of the Rays, Taj Bradley or Patrick Sandoval.
Go ahead, sir. You started off, Joe.
This one is yours, so you start.
Sandoval has been a rather big disappointment this year. I was expecting pretty big things from him, and he started off the season pretty hot, but has just crumbled here down the stretch for some reason. With that said, man, of course, Taj has the issue of where, of course, he's Tampa Bay. They do their own thing with pitching, just like I mentioned with the Dodgers. And, he's first time in the majors. They're going to reduce his workload too. They're going to manage it. I, however, do not think it's going to be as big of a management workload as some people think. He did pitch what? If I could do the math, 74 plus 59, 133 innings last year, something like that. So you add on what's the math usually? You add on
15, 20%. Yeah.
15 to 20%.
Yeah, so
do that math right now.
Yeah, you said 150. You said 115 was his thing.
It should be 133.
Yeah,
last year. So
okay, so 130, so 20%. So it's going to be another 26 innings on top of that. So about 150, 160.
Yeah, 159.6. So he's at 35 now, plus 16 in the minors. He's got a long ways to go. Even if they limit him to 5 1/3, 5 2/3, you're still going to get some pretty sweet outings from Taj Bradley the rest of the way. And he's going to go deep into games when he's dealing, of course, as long as they don't have a ginormous lead, which is unfortunately what they're doing to a lot of teams. But I think Bradley's the guy to have. Again, I'm not as concerned with the workload management as I think some people are, because 160 innings in today's game is pretty solid. You want to see 180 or closer to 200, but
right.
I mean, that's like an IL stint away from from 180 to 160. Right? That's not a big deal.
Yeah. Who would you bet?
Man, this one's hard for me because I love Patrick Sandoval, but man, I mean, the Angels have been so bad on the defensive front. And if you watch some of his games, it looks like he could be, helped out on some of these innings. And, there's been defensive, miscues or something of that nature. And also he's just not as dominant as I thought he was going to be as well. I mean, that goes without saying.
K per 9 rate is just horribly bad. Last year it was 9. The year before that it was 9. Now it's at a 6.
Yep, and that's not gonna. I mean, again,
we're talking about Marcus Stroman not being a strikeout guy. What the hell's going on here? We're fantasy analysts, right? So we're gonna talk about Ks and whips and stuff like that, and yeah, that's absolutely not gonna get it done. And when you're looking at these, daily fantasy bettors and they're talking about whatever line, everybody's always going under with Patrick Sandoval, you have a problem. I honestly don't know how this big drop off has occurred. Well, Taj Bradley, if you even get what we're talking about, 150, 116 innings, I'd much rather have that. I mean, the K upside's much better. Oh, yeah.
just on the July 4th, right? He had 48 strikeouts through 35 MLB innings. I mean, with against the Red Sox, he had 6 Ks over the five innings there, all day long. Yes, he's going to have blowups. He's going to have rookie issues, and of course, it's the Rays, so he might become the opener for the next 6 weeks. Who knows? But I'd rather have that upside any day of the week. And on top of that, the Rays are still killing it on the offensive side and everything else. Right. So, and the Angels, I don't know what they're doing.
Figure it out.
They can't figure it out.
And Trout.
You have the 2 best players maybe in the last, I don't know how long. I mean, Ohtani's just a freaking probably the last 75
Trout's
years.
Not the best player in baseball anymore.
Right. No.
Quite a big margin, in my opinion. There's lots of guys better than him, but still, he's still top. But interesting. I'm looking a little bit more at Sandoval's like pitch mix, and so he has lowered his fastball usage every single season.
Wow.
From 46 to 44 to 43 to 37 to 33%. His slider usage has gone up and down, but it is way up this year at 32%. His curveball and his changeup are about the same all around. Now, you look at like pitch value. Mm-hmm. His fastball was a negative value pitch his entire career. I mean, that's probably the case for a lot of people. Like people can sit on the fastball and just crush it, right? It wasn't like horribly negative. But his slider last year was a 13.5, which is really good. But it is all the way down to a 1.5 value pitch this year. That's where he's getting crushed. It's not working for him this year. And I mean, I'm not pitching ninja, right, on Twitter. I'm not these guys who can like sit there and analyze every pitch that goes out and like see the spin rates and all that kind of stuff and like just know. But for whatever reason, it's not working for him this year. And until he figures out his slider again, he's not going to be useful. And that's where it's like, if a pitch isn't working for you, was your pitch, right? It's time to figure out, an alternative, or maybe
we see that. We see that, year to year, all the time, where a pitcher either loses a feel for a pitch that they used to like, or they over reliant on a pitch because maybe they lost the feel for the other pitch. And if you're telling me that he's almost dropped his fastball, even if it's a negative, piece, they have to use that to keep hitters off balance, regardless. I don't
throwing it anymore.
Yeah,
which is so weird.
It's and I don't care how low that you need to have a straight pitch that you can locate, wherever. So that's really odd.
Pitching staff also like telling him, "Hey, your fastball isn't good. Use less of it." Well, that's maybe it was just a way to like keep hitters off balance, guys. Like if you throw 35% sliders, people are going to figure that out pretty quick.
Yeah,
they'll sit on that and just pound you. So that's not good.
All right, that will do it for that. Next on the docket here, we've got how you feeling, Matt. How you feeling, Matt McLain, Matt Chapman, or Matt Carpenter. We're throwing a wild card in because that's what I do. I sing, I dance, and I throw out wild cards.
Matt
Boom.
Carpenter.
Okay, so I put
3 of the 3. Don't forget the Carpenter. Famous singing group.
Okay,
so Matt Carpenter. So
no, not Matt Carpenter. So Matt Chapman and Matt McLain. All right. So of course, we picked this because 2 Matts don't make it right. But also, I mean, come on, right now, is anybody having more fun other than Elly de la Cruz than Matt McLain? I mean, he's just everywhere. They're calling him on. I love anytime a rookie comes up and suddenly they're having like Matty McClutch and all these types of things, that he's just one of the best things. And if you haven't gone on Twitter yet, just look up anything about America's Ballpark, right, where Cincinnati plays. They are doing a lot of before and afters before the last couple of weeks, where they were showing, the ballpark just absolutely dead about 3 weeks ago. And then drawing the smallest crowd at Great American Ballpark's 20-year history was on one Monday night in April. This last Tuesday night in June, with Elly de la Cruz and Matt McLain on the Reds, the crowds are just going nuts, and they stayed after the game and they were just high-fiving everybody. I mean, again, I know that's not fantasy, but you just need to understand the whole vibe of that club has changed tremendously. And then you have Matt Chapman, and Matt Chapman I mean, is he not
started off real good?
Yeah, I mean, he still leads the league top third baseman with 136 WRC plus, but everybody's catching up to him real fast. I mean, when you slump as hard as he's doing right now, he's definitely yeah. But it's Matt Chapman, veteran. I mean, McLain's going to hit a bump here sooner or later, right? I mean,
yeah.
But man, McLain is he's something else. I mean, right now McLain's only had 21 games, so exactly 100 plate appearances, 2 home runs, 19 runs, and he's doing a 7 walk rate with a 26% K rate, right? But his batting average of balls in play is 469. I mean, unless the dude is just killing the ball, that is going to come down tremendously at some point, right? But the big thing here, right? And then you look at Chapman, and everything is in line with his career. Compared to last year, we're about 1% off one way or another on his walk percentage and his K percentage. So long-winded to say I would pick Chapman over McLain, but man,
it's close.
It's FOMO.
I also think there could be more regression coming for Matt Chapman because you're saying everything's in line for him, right. And I agree with some of the counting stats. But if you look at the BABIP and then his batting average, his BABIP is up at 359. The last few years, it's been hovering around 270, 272. Year before that, 291. It's coming down. He's not a 280 hitter, which is what he's kind of doing right now. That's just not Matt Chapman. He hasn't done that since 2018. It's coming down, maybe. And if
2018 with the Oakland A's.
And if it comes down to, if his batting average drops maybe even as low as like 245, you're talking he's going to be batting in like the low 200s for probably the remainder of the season for that to happen. That's what's going to happen for him to drop that far. Now, the power is clearly going to be around. That's not going anywhere. That's Matt Chapman's game. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. It's definitely Chapman, but it's close, man. McLain would be somebody that I would hope to be able to grab a hold of and put on the back end of my bench for whatever schlub I've got sitting right there right now. So
yeah. Well, okay. So in the last 2 weeks,
shortstop eligibility.
Oh God, yeah. For the last 2 weeks, Matt Chapman has hit 171, 277, 317, 1 home run. But here's the kicker: he's only had 3.4% barrels. This is from John Anderson on Twitter. Yeah. I mean, if you're not barreling the ball, you're not gonna get any better. But
I'll say they've faced some pretty good pitching of the last week. He's got Milwaukee, the Mets, and then Houston here. Now I don't know who started those games, but those are 3 pretty good rotations, and even the one before that. I mean, even if you go before that, it's Tampa Bay and Minnesota, and depending on who he got from Minnesota, they're not nobodies over there. So Sonny Gray and Pablo Lopez, who we'll be talking here next about, can still have his game.
Cy Lopez,
but but
okay. All right. I think that's that about.
Did AJ just
cut us off?
Did AJ just turn the music on like Academy Award acceptance speech?
1 vote for Matt Duffy. Okay, nice work, guys.
Matt Duffy. Jeez.
And next, it's position eligibility. That's why. I mean, I would have gone that way. Which is hard because Veerling's a former Philly, and he did pretty well. Okay, now we're going with my own namesake, AJ Smith-Shawver or Pablo.
Who?
That's his
Pablo
dual name, like J-Lo is Pablo, and it's his actual first fucking name. How awesome is that? Pablo squared.
It's actually, I don't know if you know
this,
it's
a
Pablo
great underrated
Cy Young Lopez. It's Pablo Cy Young Lopez is his full name,
fine,
but
whatever. Pez, right. Underrated candy.
Go ahead, Joe.
What?
Get low, Pez. Get low. Pez.
This one's Pablo Lopez for me.
Yeah,
told you.
And it's
called it.
Shawver might get a handful of starts here for Atlanta while some guys on the IL
Smith-Shawver
and set down to hopefully get right.
Schuster.
But Pablo Lopez has proven time and time again that he can get it done. He's in a little bit of a funk right now. Since the beginning, since like the middle of May, he's had 3 out of like 5 bad starts. Turned things around against Tampa of all teams yesterday, so that's a good sign. He's got that potential, and we know like he the beginning of the year he went on a massively like hot streak there, and it was phenomenal. Me and Dap were laughing to the bank with that one for a trade that we pulled off in the Dynasty League, and then he crapped the bed with a 6 and a 5 earned run, and then he came back, and we were like, yeah, see, we told you, and then he crapped the bed again. So it's going to be up and down. That's kind of what he does. But I think Pablo's going to probably finish the year with a high 3, low 4 ERA. It's kind of what it looking like it's going to be. But he's a strikeout guy, and innings eater when healthy. So I think it's definitely Pablo Lopez for me.
No, yeah, it's not even close. We obviously chose AJ because he's coming out. And also we have an AJ in studio. But yeah, it's not even close here because Pablo Cy Young Lopez, as everybody knows, could win the Cy Young as well. Just because he's that good. No, I'm kidding.
Is that
no. But, if you look at these starts, right, especially with the first 4 that he had where it's just, 2 or less earned runs, he's had about, there's 4 blow up, games that he's had. When I mean blow up, I mean like 5+ runs, right? But the strikeouts are still there, and he's still keeping the walk rate down as well. Those 2 things. The main thing is just on those games where he gets killed, he's allowing home runs. That's what's. But other than that, I mean, and all his other starts, except for the ones that he's given up the 5+ runs, he's limited home runs, he's limited walks, so. He's helping in almost every ratio, except if you're in a week-to-week league like I was, and I had Pablo Lopez just decimate us for those 3 starts. But other than that, yeah, the one thing that you're gonna have to be worried about is the AL Central is just having some problems here with the offense in general, and Minnesota especially. They have to get that offense back on track, so for you to start capturing some of these wins. Lopez throws a gem out there, but they're gonna get hammered.
They're winning the division at least.
Hey, you're right. But
too bad they're playing less games in division this year, because that would help them a lot.
But we don't have a winning division like bonus in fantasy. That's the only thing that sucks. So yeah. But yeah, Pablo Lopez hands down, not even close.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Moving
on. We've got the Battle of the Jays. Joey Wiemer. Or, I'm sorry, was there a Wiemer in there? Or James Outman.
Okay, so if you've never seen what Wiemer looks like, because some people just don't have the time to look to check out what their players look like sometimes. He has one of the most amazing mullets right now.
Yes, he does.
You have got to check out this thing. It's epic. It's beautiful.
Just because you said that.
And it's just gorgeous. He has a quote right now. He's like, my buddy Dre in Cincinnati, he cuts my hair for the last like 6 years, and he's not the most precise barber, but he's my barber, and he takes credit for the streak that he's on. And just to give you an idea of just how hot Joey Wiemer is in his last 8-game streak, and this is from Chris Clegg. I mean, he is just video game numbers. Just give you an idea here, right? So he's hitting 481, 563, 1,000 for his with 3 home runs, 2 stolen bases, and
is that good?
Yeah, it's like video game on easy. But he's
the level I play on.
Is that some kind of dig? Is that a dig at me?
And he's on pace for basically 25 season of home runs and stolen bases. So yeah. Might be good, and he might still be on most waiver wires, which is crazy to me.
Him up in a couple leagues, so
right.
I was like, I haven't looked at the waiver wire for a few days, but I was like, yeah, there we go.
As I was saying, before you move on, I wanted to also point out
Go.
how goofy looking Andrew Abbott is with his weird mustache. He looks like the love child of, I don't know, Matt Ryan and Cher? Something. I don't know. Anyway, Joe, you were saying?
Okay, well, why we have James Outman on here as well? Okay, why we have James Outman? I'll help you out, Joe. Why we have James Outman on here as well is because so many people had snatched up James Outman, especially in the last 2 months, and how he's just absolutely gone off a cliff between April and May, right? He had 7 home runs in April. He's hit 2 since. And, just some of these numbers, just to give you an idea, right? So May especially, March, April, 20 RBIs, 7 home runs. I mean, just killing it. Yeah. And then 2 home runs and 9 RBIs. That's just not going to get done. And frankly, I wouldn't say he's going to be pushed to AAA, even though there's a ton of fans on Twitter claiming that. He's cooled off considerably and he needs to figure something else out. That's where we're going to see change. So Wiemer Wiemer all day long. Yeah,
I mean, at this point, Outman has become a streamable player.
Right.
At waiver wire type of guy, like go drop him. And it's funny because like the Dodgers didn't start off super hot, but Outman did. And then the Dodgers, the rest of the team figured it out, and Outman was like, "Oh, cool. I don't have to worry about it anymore. You guys got me, right?
Exactly.
What the hell's going on here? You're supposed to hit with them,
right?
Somebody Dodger me, please. I heard that's the thing.
I'm with you. It's Wiemer. Ride the hot hand. He will probably eventually cool off, and then you can be like, peace. Pick up the next guy.
Right.
Outman just doesn't seem to be. I mean, he is hitting 165 and 125 in the last 2 months. Like that's not gonna cut it. You got to cut bait with that. Just period.
Speaking of cutting it, Mr. Wiemer also goes up against Oakland this weekend, and the first pitcher he faces is Funky Cold Medina, Luis, who's got a rapid 8.19 ERA. So
super.
Sorry, are you Medina I'm sorry. Absolutely fitting, and you're welcome for musical knowledge. I am now picking up Wiemer in my 10-team points league and dropping the bum who was mentioned earlier, Mr. Andrew Benintendi, who I picked up hoping to get something out of that doubleheader.
Oh, yikes.
And he went for a popping 0 for 5. Just because
do you think it's 2018?
No. I think it's like...
He might have been farther back than that, man.
I know. I was trying to pick up. I don't know when he was good. I apologize.
Well, he's dropped. And last pickup of the week. So let's go, Mullets. Let's go. Meanwhile, my team name is Margera's Midnight Runners.
20.
And I've got a picture of Bam Margera.
20 and 20 year.
Moving on. Yeah. We are done with
done yet.
Shut up.
Shut up. He hit 290 in 2018. I guess he was okay.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. After that. All right. Take your effing history lesson back to your radio silence. It's the only one that wants to listen to you.
Wow.
For that.
AJ's angry today.
For that topic.
Oh, why are mommy and daddy fighting?
I'm not. Yes.
What's going on here?
Why
Stop it, Daddy! Stop it!
Why is mommy yelling at Daddy Joe?
The laughter from the sky comes at you.
I didn't get a chance to laugh at the last daddy joke, so I had to this time.
All right, sorry.
Okay, all right. Well, now that that's over.
All right, so you know what? Joe brought this to in the pre-show, and I thought this was a slam dunk easy answer. He asked me, "Who is hotter, Ryan McMahon, Luis Arraez, or Wander Franco?" And I was like, Franco, and then maybe McMahon, because I know Arraez is an empty stat line. I was surprised by the answer here. Joe, do you want to talk a little bit more about this?
So I go to Fangraphs, and how I do this just to find this little fun topic to pull up every week. I do the last 14 days, so 2 weeks, sort by WRC plus and just get the top guys. Now, shockingly, Josh Naylor is actually the top, and I was just like, we're not talking about Josh Naylor.
No,
we just did. But Ryan McMahon was next, so that was interesting. Luis Arraez third. Aaron Judge, but he's on the IL. We'll talk about that in a minute. Next it was actually Ryan Noda, and I was like, Noda to that. We're not talking about him either. And then Wander Franco. So I picked 3 out of the 6.
Right.
But yeah, McMahon 228 WRC plus. Arraez at 226. What is baffling about Arraez is it's exactly what you expect from Arraez.
Right.
He's hitting 522 over the last 2 weeks. You heard that right. 522. Yeah.
That's okay.
0 home runs, 0 stolen bases.
But the part that surprised me and the part that keeps baffling me about Arraez, right? It's not, okay, fine, average, got it. No home runs, got it. How is he not scoring more runs?
Because Miami's not scoring more
Well,
runs?
I mean, but it seemed like it was the same thing at the Twins. He doesn't have speed, so it's not like he's getting on and then also stealing bases. He has 0 stolen bases during those 12 games. I don't know. You see these numbers and you're like, Arraez has to be on my team. But then at the same time, you're like, I need help in the other categories. Please. The thing that's really interesting, though, to me is when you looked at the BABIP, right? The batting average of balls in play. All these guys that are on the list are 450 or better, roughly. Mm-hmm. The one person that's way below, and yet is in the top 6 here, now that he's hurt, and we'll talk about it, is Aaron Judge. His batting average of balls in play is 286.
Because he just hit a home run or not at this point.
Right. Or hitting it right at a defender. But, man, I thought the shift was going to, killing the shift was going to help him, but it just hasn't.
Arraez's K rate is just mind-boggling. 3.8%. In today's game, that's just unbelievable. I mean, granted, that's a 2-week sample size, but that is just mind-boggling to me.
Still pretty phenomenal.
Jeez. That's just nuts, man. But then there's Franco, who
thank you.
I mean, he's still up there, but no power the last couple of weeks. Like it's just kind of disappeared for him, unfortunately. Hopefully he'll get back on track with that. But he's still chipping in 6 stolen bases. And in his K rate the last couple of weeks, 8.9, walking a good bit, 13. He has cooled off. I was actually kind of surprised to see his WRC plus be that high, considering it's 10 runs, 4 RBI, and 6 stolen bases. They must really love stolen bases. Plus, he's hitting 421, so that helps too. But
slugging almost 600 too. But I mean, yeah, every time he's getting on base, it almost seems like he's stealing a base. Like, if you have any shares of Wander Franco, you almost look at it and be like, okay, he got on base and he's going to get a stolen base. He has always had speed, but I didn't expect him to be. He was one of the first people I thought of that was going to take advantage of the stolen base rule, and he's absolutely crushing it. Easily a 20-20 guy, probably a 30-30 guy. I'm really impressed by his speed. But yeah, the K percentage being in the single digits, again, considering how young he is, I think the power is going to come. He definitely has it.
I mean, he started off with 5 home runs in March, April, and then only 2 last month. So the power dip is a little bit concerning. I would bet he does not hit 30.
Really?
Pretty easily, he's not going to hit 30 home runs this year.
Really? Okay. All right. Look, so I shaved. I don't know if you know this because I lost my bet to you about Batista. I said he was not going to be this great closer, and I already paid. I'm paid, so I shaved because I knew that I lost that bet. So there you go, Joe.
That's why Joe took 14 minutes to go find his Orioles hat.
But I am not going to give up on this 30-30 love. I think it's going to be a lot closer than you think with Mr. Franco. So
cue the Dion.
I smell another bet.
I'm putting the
Franco Wander. I roam around the bases around. Boom. It's another song.
Anyway, I don't know if we actually answered the question. I mean, who's hotter is Ryan McMahon. He's killing it right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
right. Ryan McMahon's the hottest, and I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah. I mean, he's got probably the best overall stat line of the last couple of weeks too. It's
and it didn't hurt that they've been playing in Colorado pretty much every game for the last like
5
74.
bombs, double-digit runs, double-digit RBI, no steals, unfortunately. But I think you're able to find steals in a lot of places right now.
Is that why you needed the hat?
What?
Did you burn your head on a toaster?
I got a haircut and I'm still balding, so we're good.
Yeah, that's when you don't get haircuts when you're balding.
I gave up.
Get yourself
on
a nice
craziness.
little hair island and you let it go.
No,
all right.
It just looks stupid on me. I've seen
okay. Quick hits. Who steps up with Judge?
AJ wants to be on like FM radio so bad. He wants all the little sound effects.
Are you calling me ugly now? You saying I got a radio face?
Well, yes.
I think I got a podcast.
We've known that for a while.
Okay, Baldy. Who would you rather, Joe or Brian Baldinger? Wait, never mind.
What?
Bad joke.
Okay.
Okay,
all
back
right.
to the quick hits. Who steps up with Judge on the IL? Parenthetically, no timetable for his return.
Yeah. So you would hope Oswaldo Cabrera is the person that's going to step up, but yeah, it's not happening. I mean, I picked him up a lot of places late in the draft. I was really expecting this maybe to be a sleeper, and he's shown, he's shown some life here and there, but it just he's just death. I mean, he's got speed, he's got a little bit of pop, he has 4 home runs already in 52 games, but that's not it.
They're not starting him either. Like that's the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, they don't trust him at all. So who do you think it's going to be? I mean, do you think
Bowers? They're rolling out. Willie Calhoun. All right.
Yeah, when I saw Jake
Josh
Bowers,
Donaldson's back, so I guess that helps a little bit. But, he plays third and DH, so maybe do they dare put Stanton back in the outfield? I mean, he'll get hurt the very next day, right? But
God, he so will.
I mean,
probably.
I don't know what they're gonna do. I mean, Billy McKinney. He got called up, but like it's not.
They're going to trade.
It's a who's who of
Andrew Benintendi.
It's a who's who of failed prospects so far, right? Jake Bowers from Cleveland. Yeah. After being on the 24 for so many years on Fox. Okay. If you ever watch the show, there was Jake all the time. But you look at this, and this really highlights how kind of shallow the Yankees team was. I mean, they can't pull up that uber prospect, right, from the minors like we were seeing with Cincinnati and things of that nature, because they've traded those already. They really need to figure something out here, and either they need to make a big splash, or they're going to just kind of sit there in mediocrity while the Rays are just going to take off.
You know who they wish they probably had right now?
Please,
Aaron Hicks. Who's now with the O's. Oh, yeah. I mean,
or Josh Naylor.
I laugh, but
maybe they'll trade for him.
Or they trade for Ryan. Or they try for Ryan McMahon. And take him out. Jeez, they're a mess. I honestly,
that would be terrible.
They're an absolute mess, and I can see them doing one of two desperate things. They're going to either try to pull up somebody early from the minors that shouldn't be pulled up, or they make a desperate play for one of these key,
I couldn't agree with you more, Dap. I mean, they're on the verge of getting swept by the White Sox.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing worse would be getting swept by the, Athletics.
Well, it doesn't.
Hey, look here. All right, look. All right. I get it. Our team sucks. I get it. But do we have to kick them? I mean, come on.
Hey, we gave him a shining moment. I mean, who was that guy's name?
Shut up.
Get it, Luther. Get it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't help. The Yankees obviously are also dealing with pitching injuries too. Right? They've just Cortez is dealing with a shoulder strain. Who else? I forget who else right now. They're dealing with a bunch of pitching injuries too. So that's not helping their cause as far as winning games, So, it's a mess. They need Judge back in that lineup badly in order for them to be able to stay in contention. This does not feel like a World Series bound team at all. Like,
right.
You look at this roster, it's pretty ugly. Not gonna lie. So. Yeah. Oh well.
Okay, so that is the end of that topic. Next quick hit is Jacob DeGrom, second Tommy John.
Yeah, so I asked us to cover this topic because, again, we are fantasy analysts, but, people are constantly like, well, of course he got hurt. The thing is, if you saw that press conference and he looked destroyed. And who would be? Is second Tommy John's typically, kind of the death knell of somebody, not being able to come back to even a percentage of what he was. When he was healthy, DeGrom, one of the best, for sure.
Yeah.
But that's the issue, right? When he was healthy. So I hate to see that happen to somebody. I hate to see somebody who's that talented, kind of leave the game like that and not under their own kind of their decision. He just never seemed to have kind of any longevity to any season to this. On the other side, unless the Rangers have a ton of money, they just hamstrung themselves for a couple of years here as well. I'm not talking about this being a bad contract from the signing, and I'm not going to get into that. But it's going to be kind of interesting to see how the Rangers pivot here as well. So, what do you think, Joe?
Everything you said is pretty spot on. It's going to be sad. He's going to be 35 here in like a month. That's going to be tough. He's going to be out for another year in change. So next time we see him will be late 2024, if probably not 2025 at this point.
Cute virtual background.
And look, he was pitching well again. That's the thing, And so this guy's dominant when he's on the mound. It's just again, it's why we cut bait with him in our Dynasty League last year. We were like, he came back, he had like 3 good starts, and we were like, Cruz. Yep. Sold him off for. I forget. We got a lot of good prospects for him.
DeGrom, Sale, those are all the types of guys that if you get 2 or 3 good starts, he tried to trade them as quickly as possible.
Yeah, so it's sad to see. I hope he can come back, but I'm not.
Yeah.
He's going to come back in a very limited fashion. I believe he's not going to try to do power arm anymore.
Right. If he comes back and he's even 80%, I would put him as a dominant closer. Like, he would be an amazing closer.
Oh my god!
But I don't know. It bummed me out, and I just wanted to bring that up because occasionally that we look at the human side of these players behind the mask.
So if you're in a Dynasty League now, if you had him, right? Obviously, redraft gone.
Right.
Don't even worry about it.
Sure.
Not even a second question.
Right.
Dynasty League though, like, do you trade him for pennies on the dollar at this point just to get rid of him?
If you can find one of those, single A, double A players that, maybe he's definitely not in the top, 150, but, one of those guys that you think is going to be a rocket ship, trade him. The James Wood types, obviously not James Wood now, but where he was, a year or 2 ago and heralded kind of prospect. But yeah, if you can get anything for him, I would trade him. Honestly, there's no way at his age. Like, if he was in his 20s, different story. At his age, you're looking at 2 years probably before he starts doing meaningful stats.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think kind of get anything you can. Like, I wouldn't trade him for somebody I would just drop.
Right. No, that's stupid.
It's got to be somebody. It's got to be a project type of player,
right.
like you're saying. So,
yeah,
totally agree.
All right, last man up here is Alek Manoah. Been playing like Manoah. Can he regain his form after being sent down to the minors earlier this week after his latest shit show? Manoah.
So I thought he was gonna get sit down like weeks ago. He was just terrible. I think they just didn't have anybody else to kind of bring up at the time, or they're hoping to kind of not have him completely take a hit to his ego there. But it's interesting, and again, now people are coming out with theories of why things happen, right? But Jack Barry on Twitter had a really great kind of breakdown of one of the reasons why he thinks Alek is kind of struggling this season. And he pulled some video from August 2022 and then compared it to a May game this year. And Manoah used to be an incredibly methodical pitcher. He used to be very kind of slow in how he threw his pitches and then took his time in between. And so in what Jack did and when he analyzed with this tweet today, in the same time it took Manoah to throw 3 pitches in 2022, he went through a full 5 pitch at bat in 2023. And so basically what he's getting at, if you look at it through his whole thread, is that he's just gassed. And it makes sense if again, this is a theory and all those types of things, but and I'm not talking about his body shape, right? I'm not talking about, well, he's a bigger pitcher. Let's not get away from that. It makes sense that he suddenly is gassed, having to go quicker. And we talked about this too in the offseason. We talked about this many times. This pitch clock is going to cause people to work faster, which is great for some pitchers, but other pitchers that are methodical, other pitchers that need to kind of catch their breath in between pitches, this is going to show them out. And I'm wondering if that's kind of the issue. He's not going to get a reprieve in AAA. It's not like they don't have a pitch clock, but it's going to be interesting. If he can figure that out, we've seen he is great, right? Yeah. It's not, and so unless he's injured, there's got to be some type of tweak that needs to happen.
I mean, I looked at like pitch values and things like that, like pitch velocity, all the same. Like it's no different. Sliders, fastball, like we're talking point something of a difference. But the pitch value is just the complete opposite end of the spectrum here. And so this is runs above average, right?
Right.
His fastball last year was 14.5. It's now negative 7.4.
Oh.
Slider was 4.9. It's now negative 9. Like his 2 best pitches got obliterated this year. His sinker was the second best pitch, 9.7, which is still a 5. So that one's still working for him, just not as well as last year. But yeah, I mean, you could be onto something, and all the people that you read this about or read this from on Twitter, you could be onto something. The pitch clock could be affecting him, and I think we've heard that from some other pitchers. Some of the older guys kind of struggled with it initially, and I think they're figuring it out, right? Their gamesmanship is sort of getting in there, but
sure.
I've been saying this from day one. I like the quicker pace of the game,
sure,
but they've got to tweak this just slightly because it does feel kind of rushed at times, and you're like, I kind of want the pitcher to be able to breathe and go, no, I actually don't like. Give them an extra like 5 seconds. Like, how much would that really matter? I don't know. Like, there's got to be something else they can do because it does just feel like some of these guys, they just can't think. And you can tell, and it's just craziness. And then, obviously we can get all the umpires not giving them the time to get an applause. It's like, this is nonsense here. So,
right.
Yeah. I mean, I think Manoah he's got to go down to the minors, get used to this against, lesser competition and come back up. He's got the talent. He's got to work through whatever issues are going on right now. We've seen it. We did not get drafted where he did this year because he sucked. That's definitely not the case. So,
and I'm glad that I do not have any shares of him anywhere.
I missed on him everywhere.
So, Joe, are you picking on a long-term dynasty league? Are you looking at Alek Manoah or are you looking at Benintendi? Because I know that's AJ Gar's pick.
I mean, it's gonna be Benintendi, right? I mean, AJ's always right.
Or are we talking like 2017 Benintendi, 2018 Benintendi, maybe?
I don't know. Should I go back on that soapbox?
I think so. You might as well.
Now we've all come full circle.
I'm gonna not let you do that. And just
come on,
say
Daddy.
That's our show for tonight, and tonight's show is brought to you by Bartolo Colon.
It was brought to you by Tito's.
Venezuela.
We could also say 2021
Verlander.
Benintendi. He was decent.
Verlander
Just
Cologne.
kidding.
Bartolo
gosh.
Verlander Cologne.
Oh, where's the one of him like rubbing his belly? That's the
I
best
couldn't
one.
get that one.
Oh,
Doesn't
man.
matter.
Fail.
Big
All right.
factor.
Thank you all for listening and watching.
There he is.
Make sure we hit that subscribe button, the like button. Leave those comments. We appreciate it. And again, become an all-access member of Fantasy Six Pack at fantasysixpack.net/plans. We will be back next week with another show. Have a good night, everyone.